One Piece is the greatest show on earth, and I will hold that to my grave, that One Piece will forever be the greatest piece of fiction in our lifetimes and maybe ever, to be honest with you. The ending of One Piece could be completely underwhelming. It could be like Game of Thrones season 8 level bad, and I would still say this just because we're already at over 1100 episodes and just the story so far is amazing. We're gonna dive deeper into that later on in this video, but I wanted to make this video because I'm finally caught up to One Piece. I've been caught up for a long time, but when I first started this channel, I made videos at every 100 episodes I've watched of One Piece, every 200 episodes, and then I think I went to 500 episodes, and I never made one completing the arc. You know what I'm saying? So now that I'm caught up, I've been caught up, like I said, for a long time, but I wanted to make this video to complete that series. Overall, it took me like a year and a half to completely catch up to One Piece. I wasn't fully caught up for a while. I left like 20 episodes between me and the finish before I wanted to go to weekly watching. But man, the journey of watching One Piece was amazing. Through it all, I was posting content. I still post shorts on here daily, and I've been working on my long form videos to make better content for you guys. But yeah, One Piece is truly the best thing that's ever happened to me, because not only that, just watching peak fiction, but also I created this channel and things blew up more than I could ever, possibly dream of doing. And the cool thing is now, myself and some friends convinced my brother to even start watching One Piece, and he's already in Dressrosa, I think, and that's just after a few months. He has been flying through. So if you want me to make a video with him, doing like a little Q&A with him, how he likes it, let me know by liking this video. But it just pains me to know that there are so many people out there that will never give One Piece a chance because either it's too long or it's anime, and some people still have this weird stigma about anime, thinking that it's weird and you're like a weeb if you watch it, which is just completely not true. But maybe with some of the collabs One Piece is doing this year, it will spread the word out to a lot of these people, because there are some major One Piece things happening. You have an NBA collab with the Los Angeles Lakers in February, just a few weeks from now. Actually, the live action is bringing a lot of new people into One Piece that didn't like anime. Now they can watch it in live action. You got season 2 of that dropping, I think, late 2025. You also have the One Piece, kind of the remake of the series to fix some of the pacing issues and also bring new animation, because sometimes the bad animation is what also causes people not to watch One Piece. You have big time YouTubers and streamers like iShowSpeed, Jinxie, Moist Critical also bringing the word of One Piece out. Speed just revealed his $50,000 One Piece setup a few weeks ago, and then even more collabs. Like just today as I'm filming this, One Piece announced a collab with Lego, so that's huge. I think 2025 is going to be a crazy year for One Piece. Hopefully it is. Now quickly, I want to touch on some of these post time skip arcs. Like I said, I made those videos when I first started my channel of the first 100, 200, 500 eps. So now let's quickly go through the last 600 episodes or so. The first post time skip arcs, Fishman Island and Punk Hazard. Fishman Island, for a long time, I hated. I actually did kind of make a video on it, but it was mainly just a Sanji rant. I still to this day hate Sanji's character in that arc. A lot of people agree with me with that. But Fishman Island has grown on me a little bit. I think I disliked it at first and gave it another chance, and it's grown on me. Part of the reason I disliked it was Hody Jones. I did not like him as a villain, but I've realized now he wasn't really a villain, and he was more just a representation of a bigger cause, the racism between humans and fishmen, and that's what Hody Jones was really representing. He wasn't mainly meant to be a villain or to be someone that Luffy has to defeat to get stronger. It was a way to kind of help the viewers understand the differences between fishermen and humans and why they've been separated and segregated for so long. So for that reason, Fishman Island has grown on me. The remastered version that they've been posting has been really cool to watch as well. Punk Hazard, another arc that's just kind of building the story. I want to talk later in this video about the long-term story development of what makes One Piece so good, and Punk Hazard is an arc that is just kind of for that. You have the Luffy and Law alliance that starts. They start their plan to take down a Yonko in Punk Hazard, which pays off like 400 episodes down the line. That's crazy. Punk Hazard itself, Caesar gets introduced. Caesar's around for a while. You have the child experiments that are happening. A lot of people say it's like a lower tier arc, but there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in there. Aokiji shows up for the first time since leaving the Marines at the end of the arc. We see Doflamingo. We see Smoker again. It's a cool arc. Dressrosa is an arc that a lot of people love, but also hate because of its length and how drawn out it is. When I first watched it, I didn't really care that much of it being drawn out. I didn't feel like it was drawn out that much, and the pacing was super slow, at least to me. There are just a lot of different storylines going on at the same time in the arc. You got the Straw Hats spread out. All of them are experiencing their own things. You got Frankie, Senor Pink, you got Robin, you got Rebecca, Kiros, Doflamingo. Luffy's doing his old thing at the Coliseum as Lucy, reuniting with Sabo. You got Zoro lost per usual. There's a lot happening in Dressrosa. That's kind of why it takes forever, because Oda's trying to tell all those different stories at the same time. And then of course you also have the pacing issues that happen every now and then. But I liked the arc, and you're not really gonna hear from me that I hate any One Piece arc. Long Ring Longland, even, I kind of enjoyed watching that one. I'll say it, I enjoyed it. Then you go on to Zoe, and we're learning a lot more there. Another alliance is formed, continuing to build up Wano, this big arc that's happening later. Then we go to Whole Cake Island, and this is the one arc where I'd say the pacing was a little rough. The Luffy versus Katakuri fight, and as a whole, was a little rough, just with how long it took. This was like a 30-40 episode fight, and for half the episodes, Luffy couldn't even punch the guy. It was just him questioning over and over and over and over, how can I even fight this guy? That's what got onto my nerves a little bit, but other than that, the arc was all right. It was cool to see all these family members of Big Mom, her having 80-something kids, being a straight up bop. And then I was really glad to see in that arc that Brook got a lot of love. Brook was the MVP of Whole Cake Island for sure. Learning about Germa 66 was cool. Also Sanji's backstory, you know, kind of getting the extended version of his backstory. We already had some with Zeph, but then learning that Mr. Prince was actually real. Sanji calling himself Mr. Prince wasn't just a joke. He was actually a prince from a kingdom. That was pretty cool. Once again, another one of those things that Oda does that foreshadows way in the future and then pays off long term. Like, he foreshadowed that in Little Garden, and then it pays off all the way in Whole Cake Island. And then lastly, we have Wano, Onigashima, and Egghead now. All amazing arcs. I mean, there's no complaints about those. Wano is extremely long, but it's all worth it in my opinion. I don't really think there's a lot of points in Wano where I thought stuff just didn't need to be there. It was all important, in my opinion, to the story overall. And we're getting to the point now where every episode is going to be heat. Egghead, after Egghead, Elbaf, and then after that, who knows what. We're getting into the thick of it, of the One Piece story, and I can't be more excited. So there's all the post-time skip arcs and some of my general thoughts about them. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to my shorts right here. Check this out. I got the Straw Hat Pool Party. Look at Nami. You got Brooke checking Nami out. We got everyone else here. I also have another pair, Chopper's Graduation. These are sick. I love these ones. The pink on the back, they're so cool. They're from Metanoia. I partnered up with them a few months ago, and you can use code YONKO to save 15% on all of these shorts. They also recently dropped a new version, the Snake Princess with Boa Hancock. So if you're interested, definitely check them out and use my code for a discount. Pre versus post time skip, which is better? It's such a hard question for me to answer, because pre-time skip and post time skip are very different. Pre-time skip is almost kind of like a fun pirate vibes. We're like, you know, we're playing pirates a little bit. Post time skip is when it gets serious. They realize, the Straw Hats do, that they aren't strong enough to continue their pirate journey without training a little bit. So we have this time skip, and post time skip, everyone's a lot more serious and stronger. They're still cracking jokes every now and then, but it's not nearly the same vibe. If you know, if you've watched it, you kind of know what I'm saying. Pre-time skip is just way more fun and less serious. Post time skip, we start getting really serious, especially right now where the story is. So it's hard to answer. I love the pre-time skip vibe of the less seriousness, but I also like post time skip and it getting serious now, and the story itself just really starting to connect. That's maybe why I would choose post time skip, because we're seeing a lot of the stuff that is mentioned pre-time skip starting to connect the dots in the story later on post time skip, which just proves why this might be the best piece of fiction ever, because hardly any other stories out there do this. Attack on Titan is another one that has insane foreshadowing, but not to the level of this amount of chapters and this amount of episodes. And that kind of leads me to the question, what makes One Piece so good? Because if you're just looking on the surface, and a lot of viewers aren't like trying to deep everything in a show. They're just kind of watching for something that's fun, and One Piece is perfectly fine for that as well. You can just watch and see the stuff on the surface, but it also can get really, really deep. I always think of it like the classic iceberg. You have the stuff poking above the water that's kind of a lot smaller, and it's all the basic stuff, and then you get into the water is when you get all the dark undertones and parts of the story that you don't really see. You kind of have to read in between the lines to get. And what I mean by that would be all the isms. Like One Piece has racism issues, it has cannibalism issues, it has terrorism involved. The story covers so many problems that the world faces today, and as it continues, I think we'll see even more of these dark things happen, especially learning more about the Void Century. The government probably did a lot of really bad things to cover that up, and one of the recent ones we saw was the Buster Call at O'Hara. I personally think that's one of the lighter things. Getting rid of an entire country is going to be one of the lighter things the government has done to cover up all this past information that they've completely erased from the world. So you have all that makes One Piece good, and then I'll just rattle off some more things. You have the world building, the storytelling, the friendships, the backstories. Characters like Senor Pink have crazy, sad backstories that you wouldn't ever expect. The foreshadowing and planning also I've kind of briefly mentioned already. And then one of my favorite things is the long-term satisfaction and payoff. Like I said, there were things placed at the very start of the story that are just now starting to pay off 25 plus years later. Oda has most of One Piece already planned. You can tell there are things that he's kind of adding as he's going, but the general basis of the story has been planned since the start. Like Skypia's episode like 200 or so, pretty deep into it, but also, I mean, when there's 1100 episodes, it's only 20% into One Piece. Skypia has Gear 5 foreshadowed at one point with the sun and moon symbol. Mr. Prince, like I talked about earlier, was all the way in Little Garden. That paid off almost 600 episodes later, 700 episodes later. And then all of us that are still watching One Piece are waiting for the ultimate long-term goal to finally pay off, and that's the Straw Hats achieving their dreams that we get introduced to at the start of the story when the characters are introduced, most notably Luffy becoming Pirate King. So you have all this, and then on top of it, you just have these amazing action scenes, especially with today's animation. Luffy versus Kaido, Gear 5 Luffy was crazy to watch. Zoro versus King was beautiful, Sanji versus Queen, and then even some of the older fights were also just really entertaining to watch. The action is always entertaining, so that's why I say One Piece is good for everyone. The people that just want to watch something, you know, enjoyable, and the people that also want to deep it a little bit more. It has everything. Even I am barely scratching the surface here of what makes One Piece good, but it's truly a one-of-a-kind show that I will always petition people to watch no matter what. That's pretty much my rant for this video. I don't have a lot more to say. I could go more in depth on some of this stuff, but maybe I'll save that for a later video. If you guys enjoyed, as always, it means a lot to me if you drop a like. See you in the next one.